Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Star Trek lab. This is the video number 15. Okay, we have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been continuing our discussion about the DFS, or we have make a small recap of what we have done in the DFS naming space, and I've been discussing what is the objective, or what is the purpose of using the DFS, and how it is done, and how it is very useful, and how we need to do some or different NTFS and SMB share permissions on the folders on the file server. This was the graph. So here, this is our file server. We have our main folder, and then we have the subfolders. Every subfolder will be for a ship or for a branch. Okay, so we have the main office, and then we have branch offices. Okay, and this is, in our scenario, it is ships, so we have every branch have a folder, and then every subfolder will have subfolders. For example, this is a folder called all ships. This is a folder that all the branches or all the ships will access, and it is divided to subfolders for every department. So for example, the medic folder in the all ships folder, this is a folder for all of the medic teams in all of the branches. They can access this folder, and we have done putting different NTFS share permissions to control which group access which folder. This is the NTFS share permissions, and we have also the SMB share permissions. It was inherited from the main folder, so we have shared this folder, and we put authenticated users and have certain permissions on this folder, and it was propagated or inherited to the other folders. So we have all of our folders on our file server. We have done the different permissions on them, and then we have our DFS naming space, and we have created a folder in the DFS naming space, and then we have created subfolders under it, and every subfolder it is a pointer to a folder on the file server. So high level, it is high level here, and normal level here. So all of this we have done it in the previous video, and after that we will map this folder or this shared folder in the DFS naming space to the user. So the user will see this folder, and we have something called access based enumeration that we have activated on this DFS naming space. So every department will only see its specific folder. So for example, if we have this folder as a network map drive for the users, and one of the users, he is in the department of engineering, he will see only the engineering pointer, or the pointer that points to the engineering folder, and all of the other pointers will be disappearing, or it will not appear for him. And we have seen this on a workstation that we have already joined it to the domain. So what here is this what it is written here. We have make a small recap what we have done with DFS naming space and folders. They point on or point to on the file server, and different NTFS and SMB share permissions. Still working with the DFS naming space, and add more folders in it, to which points to more folder targets on the file server. In previous videos we have only done two folders or 2 pointers that point to 2 folders. In the previous video you have created these other pointers that point to other folders. So that we have done in the previous video, and then we have joined a workstation to the domain, and then we test the DFS naming space network map drive. As I said before, what will appear for the user, it is this folder that it is created and shared in the DFS naming space. Okay, and we said before that sharing folders in the DFS naming space is very useful, because normally when you share a folder on the file server, to access this share you need to type the file server name, then the share name of the folder. But in the DFS naming space, to access a folder shared in the DFS naming space, you need to type the domain name, then the share folder, or the share name of the folder. Okay, so this is very good, because here the share folder, it is related to the domain, not to the server. Okay, so this is very good because you have 2 domain controllers, so mostly the domain will not be down. And actually, using pointers, so these folders are only pointers to other folders or pointer to target folders. This will help us to redirect these pointers if our file server is down, because the DFS, we will use two file servers that will replicate their data between them. So if this pointer, one of the servers, is down, it can be redirected from file server 1 to file server 2. So I discussed this in the previous video, and we have said access the workstation with a user from engineering department to test the access based enumeration option and see if he can see only the engineering department folder in the DFS network map drive. As I said before, he will only, if a user in the department of engineering, he will see this share and these pointers. So if he access with his username on the workstation, he will see this share and he will only see this pointer only. He will not see the other pointers, okay, because of the access based enumeration option. Access based enumeration option, it enables only certain users to see certain folders. So the user will see only the folder that he has permissions on. As for the other folders, he doesn't have permissions on, so they will disappear for him. And we see this in the previous video. In this video we will discuss, or we will begin working with creating different user home folders or Active Directory user home folders. We will create them using a PowerShell script, and then we will continue working with the DFS namespace. So in the DFS namespace, here we have created pointers, okay, that points to the all ships subfolders. We need to make for the Colombia ship this same subfolders structure, and we will make a new namespace that will point to the Colombia ship subfolders that will have the same structure as the all ships folders. So this folder will be accessed for all ships, and as for the Colombia ship, we will make another namespace that will direct or will have pointers that point only to the folders for the departments in the Colombia ship only. And this can be done for all of the ships or all of the branches. We will see that in the video, so don't worry, we will see it practically. So first of all, what is the user home folders? The user home folder, you have a file server, and then you have, this are the Active Directory users in our domain, and every Active Directory user will have a folder by his name on the file server, and this folder will be named according to his username or Active Directory username, and this user will have full control over his folder. So we can see that if he accesses it on different computers, for example, let's get it a little bit closer here. So here, for example, we can see that, for example, Karim, or this user Karim, will have full control over his folder, and this is NTFS permission and SMB share permission, and actually this folder will be shared. So we will have folders on the file server for every Active Directory user. These folders will be shared, and they will be named according to the username or the Active Directory username, and the share permissions, the SMB share permissions, the NTFS share permissions will be full control, okay. So this will be done according to a PowerShell script. So we will have a folder here, it called bioships. This is the main folder, and it will be hidden. Why we are doing this? Why we are hiding this folder? So the other users, so every user can see only his folder. So if this folder is not hidden, he can see the other users folders. So we will hide it, and we will make a map drive to only for the user to see his folder. We'll see that in a moment. So we will have the folder, and then we will have subfolders created for every user, as I have said before in this one. So we will have subfolders created. So we have this our file server, and this is the folders for the Active Directory users. They are created, or these folders will be created in this main folder, and every user will have full control over his folder, and it will be mapped to his Windows setting or his Windows system as drive L using a PowerShell script. So how this will done? After using this PowerShell script, if you go to the Active Directory username properties or the Active Directory user properties, for example, this is a user, you can see that we'll have home folder connected as L drive, and this is the name of the share or the name of the folder, okay. And how the user will see it? He will see it like this. For example, here is a user called widow. So this is a user or active directory that has an active directory username called widow. So she will see her user home directory folder with the name of widow, okay, and it will have as a map drive as you see here, and it will be an L drive. So this is, for example, MO, and this L will be her user home directory folder. It will be named according to her active directory username, and it will be as an L drive letter, and we will put quota on this folder. So we need every user to put in his user home directory folder a certain amount of data, and we will put a rule on this network map drive not to allow the user to put any audio or video files. So we'll see this, how this is done in this video. So let's begin. Here you go. So just a moment. So here we're just revising the DFS from the previous video. So now what we will do, we'll begin creating the user home directory folders using a script. The script will be redirected, or it will see a file, CSV file, that contains the active directory usernames of the users, and it will create a folder for every user by his username or active directory username. First of all, we need to go a little bit back. So here, this is the bioships. This is the folder that will contain the user home directory folders. So we need to share it, okay, so the users can access it, and you will give domain users full control over this folder as an SMB share permission, and we will give it also NTFS permission as full control. So this is the folder that will contain the user home directories. It need to have certain SMB share permissions and NTFS share permissions, okay. So we'll see that in a moment. We will need to share it. Right click and properties, and then we need to share it, okay. So we'll share it, and it will be hidden. Okay, why we hide this folder? So the users, so we put $sign to hide this share, so we don't need other users to see their user home directory folders, okay. So here we will make the active directory group called domain users. We will give it full control over this folder, and we will have another group called starcom all species. This is another active directory group that contain all of the users in the domain. So these two active directory groups contain all of my users in the domain. The domain users group, it is created by default when you create the active directory or install the active directory. This active directory group contain all of the users in the domain, and this is a group that I have made in the lab, and it contains also all of the users in my domain, and I will give them full control over this shared folder, and will give also the IT full control over this folder, and we'll do the same in the SMB share permissions. So we will do this starcom_IT, okay, and then we will have full control, apply and okay. So here, and also we will need to modify the script. So in the script we will tell him to create subfolders in this folder for every active directory user. He will create subfolders which is the user home directory folders, okay. He will create it there, so the script need to know where is the main folder, and what is the text file that he will go and see the active directory usernames, and based on these usernames he will name the subfolders in this folder, okay. So here we are doing, here I am, what I'm doing here, I am adding the same groups, and in the security tab I am giving them NTFS share permissions as full control, okay. So here now we will go and use the script. So here is the script, it's called create home folder. So edit, So here what I'm doing here, I'm telling him the script he need to create in this main folder by ships, but you need to put a $sign here, and this is not the server name, we need to change it, and he will create for every user a folder in the main folder bioships. Okay, and this is the domain, okay, or this is the domain / user. So we need to change this to this, not the server name, or this is not the domain controller server name, and this is not the domain, so we need to change both. Okay, and in the up or the first line of script, it says that he needs to go to a text file called Marvel users home. This text file contains the Active Directory usernames for all of my users, so he will create a user for every username or Active Directory username in this Excel sheet, and it will be in this domain. So we need to change this to the server name and the domain, and the text file, it's already there, because, and it's not, this location is not correct because I have changed it in this lab. And as for the other script or the remaining of the script, I'm telling him to give full control for every user on his folder or his user home directory folder, and it will be mapped as an L drive. Okay, so let's begin. So this is the server name, and it is best practice not to have the file server and the domain controller on one server. You need to put the file server on a separate server, and also the DHCP applies, or the same rule applies for the DHCP. You need to have your DHCP in a separate server than the domain controller, and you can put the DHCP and the file server on one server. Okay, if you don't have much servers, I mean. And this is the location of the CSV file. Okay, so here we are telling him to go to a certain text file that contains all of my Active Directory usernames, and he will take, or he will see these usernames and create a user home directory folder for every user based on his Active Directory username. Okay, so now we have all of the setting done, and to give him full control, of course, on his folder. So every user will have full control over his folder. So now we will run the script, as we will see that it will create different folders in this folder, and we will see that now in a moment. So here we can see that it's saying home directory created at so and so and so, and we will test by ourselves. We will see, or we will check an Active Directory user properties and see if the user home directory folder is created or filled, or it is working. Okay, so here we have a lot of users, so it will take a little bit of time. Because we have, I think we have about 1,000 users, maybe. I think I have maybe 200 or 250 users. We have one of them that had an error, but okay, because it is not there. Anyway, if we go to the bioships folder, we will see that all of the subfolders are created. So if you go to the bioships folder, okay, here is it, bioships, we can see that there is many subfolders created for every Active Directory user. And if we go to any user or any properties for any user, you will see that the user home folder field is already filled, or it is already created. Now we'll make a quota on the folder, or every folder or every home folder. We need the users to have 2 GB, so we will go to the pass, we will create a quota. We will tell him to have quota over the bioships folder, and it will be 2 GB, and it will be for every subfolder. So every subfolder in the bioships will have 2 GB of quota, and this is for the already existing folders and for the future folders that will be created. So this is the option. So here also I need just to make it a little bit clear here. So if you go there, what is here, what is this option, or we could go again, this option, auto template create, auto apply auto template and create quotas on existing and new subfolders. So this template will be applied to all subfolders under bioships that are already existing, and if they are or if newly created folders are added. Okay, so this is automatic. And now after that we will make a file screening or a rule to block users to put audio and video folders on their user home directory folders. Okay, so here we'll right click on file screening. So we'll create file screening, and then we will tell him to block certain files to be added to this folder of bioships. We will tell him to block audio and video. We need only documents to be put on our user home directory folders. Just a moment, guys. So here what we'll do, just a moment. Just a moment, guys. Now we'll go there. So we have the screening, and then this is the bioships. So we have done this rule. Just a moment. And then we need to create another naming space. So this naming space, if you remember, this naming space which is statric.localDepths, this naming space, it is pointing to all ships subfolders. So we'll make another naming space, statric.local/Colombia. We will have, or we will make another, or make a folder called Colombia. Okay, and this folder, or we tell him to point his, or make a folder that will point not to all ship subfolders but to point to Colombia ship subfolders. That will be the same structure. I will show you this, how this is done. So just a moment, we will go to 19 or something. Just a moment. So here we will go, and it's 19. Just a moment. So here again we will okay, just a moment here. So here we will create a naming space. So right click, new naming space, and then we'll tell him the server that we need, or our, where is the DFS naming space will be put. It will be put on this server. Okay, and tell him okay, and then next, and then we'll tell him it's called location servers, or we can call it Colombia, for example, Colombia NX. So we'll name this namespace Colombia NX2 shares, and we will give, or we will put this pointer or this folder in DFS folder or DFS2 folder. We have created another folder, and we will give authenticated users read permission on this folder. Okay, so this new DFS naming space will be only for the Colombia ship shares, and we'll have it for authenticated users. We will give it read permissions. So now what we have done, we have created a new DFS naming space. It will be called Colombia NX shares. This will be in a folder or in the location DFS2, and we will give authenticated users read permission on this folder. Authenticated users, it is a group that it is created in Active Directory by default, and in it the members or the users that have logged in successfully to the domain with a correct username and password. Okay, so we'll continue what we are doing. So now we have called Colombia NX shares, and then this will be our new DFS naming space, and it will point to the Colombia shares. Okay, so now we will begin adding the same pointers with the same names, but to point to the Colombia folders. So now, first of all, before that, we need to go to the properties of this naming share and click on enable access based enumeration. As I said before, this is a very important option, so every department, so the engineering department can see only the pointer of the engineering department and all of the other folders are hidden. So we do this the same for the Columbia share. So I'm repeating the same process for this and this. We will do it in the Columbia shares, but instead of pointing to all ships subfolders, we will point to the Columbia subfolders. We will see that in a moment. So now we will go to the access based enumeration, and then we will tell him right click new folder, and then we will tell him engineering, and then we will point to the subfolder in the Columbia ship in our file server. So our file server, we have a folder called data cube. Remember, in data cube we will point to the Columbia folders engineering section, and we will give for the engineering pointer, the engineering department can see it. So by doing this, or give the engineering department read only on this folder pointer or folder directed or folder directing. Okay, so now we will add the engineering Columbia ship engineering group, give it read permission. And remember guys, I need just to have a little bit of something here. We need remember this graph, we need to have SMB or NTFS share permissions to be put on the subfolders, okay, in Columbia ship as we have done in all ships. You can use the same script, so we can use the same script, NTFS script or NTFS permissions script, to add different Active Directory groups to have different permissions on the subfolders. Okay, for example, if the medic folder in the Columbia folder, or the medic subfolder in the Columbia subfolder, we need to give the Columbia medic group, okay, modify permissions on it, and the authenticated users will be already inherited from the data cube, the same as we have done in the all ships folder. Okay, so now we will do it. So here we will add the Columbia ship or the engineering, and then okay, we have read permission, and then apply and okay. And now we begin adding different, or we add the same folders but in the Columbia ship folder. So now properties, we can see the permissions, and after that we'll make a network mapped drive group policy to map this pointers to the users of Columbia, okay, or for the Columbia ship. We will see that in a moment. So we will add different folders, right click new folder, then we will tell him to add, for example, global level ID, okay, level ID, and then we will point to the folder, okay, or will point to the data cube and then Columbia ship. We will do this for every ship, okay, we'll do it for every ship or branch. So now we will add, and then we will add again different folders. So let's consider this the global shares, and this is the ship share or every branch shares. Okay, so now we have to go to the data cube, and then we will add in the also the Columbia, we will add the high level ID, okay, and then we will do it, and then new folder, then we will add IT, and then we'll go to the Columbia folder, sorry, of the Columbia, and then we will add the folder of the IT. So we will have 8 DFS naming space for the 8 ships, and the 9th one will be for all of them. Okay, so we'll have IT and then OK, and then OK. We will begin adding different folders, medic, and then we'll add it for the Columbia ship, next, and then data cube, and then Columbia ship, and then the medic team, and then OK, and then we'll begin adding different permissions to these pointers. Okay, and then right click and then new folder, and then we will add the normal level ID pointer, level ID pointer, and then we will add and then browse, and then we'll go to the deep space, and then we'll add Colombia ship, and then we'll add normal ID, and then OK, and then OK, and then we will add new folder. I will do only for one ship, you can guys do the rest, so I do it for the Colombia ship shares. This is the global and this is for the Colombia ship share. You can do the other if you need. So here we will go to the researchers group. Okay. And then we will have the last one, which is the ship squad, or the folder for the ship squad team for the Colombia ship. And then add, and then browse, then data cube, and then we will add to the Colombia and then the ship squad team. Okay, okay. So now we have all of them. We need to put the different permissions or on every pointer. So the global level ID, we need the global level Colombia Active Directory group to have read permission on it. So we'll have Colombia. Okay, we have Colombia global level or shared access. Okay, we will give it to this group. Okay, we'll name it shared access. We will give it read permission on this pointer, then apply and OK. And then the high level, we will give the Colombia high level Active Directory group read permissions on this pointer. Okay, remember that the pointer you give permissions on it and the folder target, so you need, or your target folder, so you need to put permissions on the pointer or the folder and the target folder. Okay, so we need to post permissions on both. Okay, so now we have high level group and it is read, then the IT we will put certain permissions, and then advance and expelled, and then view, and then add Colombia IT group. Okay, and then the IT, and then we need the medic team. Okay, properties, and then advance, and then expelled, and then add, and then Colombia. Okay, and then the Colombia medic team. Okay, and then apply and OK, apply and OK. Then with normal ID, so every pointer will have a certain Active Directory group that have read permissions on it, the same that we have done for the depths or departments folder. We'll have normal, normal level. Okay, and then OK, then OK, and then apply and OK. And then we need to have the researchers and the ship squad team, and then we need to make, after doing all of this, to make a network map drive group policy to map this share for the Colombia ships. Okay, or to map this domain namespace or DFS namespace to the Colombia ship organizational unit or the Colombia ship users. Okay, You have the researchers, and then OK, and then OK, then apply and OK. All have read permissions. And then the ship squad team properties. Then we add the ship squad active directory group. OK, and then add, and then we'll add the ship squad Columbia ship active directory group. OK, and then OK, and then OK, and then apply OK. Then we need to go to the mapping group policy and make a mapping or a network map drive group policy. Okay, so now we will go to the group policy and then go to there, and then after that here and to the mapping group policy, right click and edit. So we need to go there and do it. So now we can go there. Okay, and sorry, so now we will go there again. So here we will go to the mapping policy and then to the users configuration and preferences and then mapping. Okay, and then right click. So we'll make another one. Here is, this is the M, we will make another one called O. So we'll make another one or a new one. Okay, and we will put it or create, and the location will be the /startrek.local/Columbia NX shares. So now we will see that the one that we have created, or the DFS namespace we have created from a couple of seconds. So we can get it from the run, or you can take it from the, you can go and take it like this. So this is the share, we will map this share. So we get to properties and we can take it copy paste. So we'll take this, okay, copy, and then we will share it. Okay, or we'll go to the, just a moment, so here we'll go and tell him to this location to map this location, and you will name it Columbia ship shares. Okay, or name it as Columbia shares. Okay, okay, and we will tell him to show this drive or show this mapped drive for both. Okay, and we will map it as an N drive, or yes, N drive, and we will map it, this will be mapped to a certain active directory group. So we'll tell him to run as logged security and apply once, and you will item, or we will target, or we will map this network mapped drive to a certain active directory group, which is Columbia all species group. This is a group that contains all of the users in the Columbia ship branch or the Columbia ship OU. So now we tell him targeting, and then we tell him security group, and then we tell him to have this network map drive mapped to the Columbia all species group. This contains all of the users in the Columbia ship. Okay, okay, and then okay, and then apply and okay. But we forgot something, you need to tell him to reconnect. So we'll have a little bit of something here not to forget it. So here we need to go, or sorry, we need here to put the reconnect option. So the reconnect will reconnect this, or it will, if the share is disconnected, this option confirms or guarantee that the share will be reconnected again if your server connection is down. So with this option he will reconnect you to the share. Okay, so after doing this, okay, now we have finished, or we have done working with the so here just we have paused it. After doing all of this, we have our network map drive. So map drive group policy, so everything is fine. We need to test it on a user, but before doing this I need to remember you all to do the NTFS permissions. So you need to change these groups, okay, to reflect the Columbia ship groups and give them NTFS permissions on the subfolders that have been created under the Columbia ship. The same should be done, okay, because I didn't do this in the video, so I am telling you to do it, okay. So after doing all of this, you can test it on a user of Columbia. So you can go to a user in Columbia and log in with on a machine and see if the folders or every folder will appear the same as we have done in all ships, okay. So hope this video is informative for you all. The upcoming video will begin working with creating another or file server number 2, and we'll begin working on how to make replication between file server 1 and file server 2. Hope this video is informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.